All right, all right, all right. Welcome in 2024, week 11. Let's get into it. Woo! All right, boys. Anybody follow the games live last week? If you followed my predictions, it was a great game to watch. Chad and his team jumped out to an early lead. Buffalo scored him 19 points on defense. Everybody loves a 20-point appearance by your defense. But he also had Drake London grab him 17 early. Meanwhile, the Viking had to suffer through Baker's first letdown of the season. Only scored him 12 points. He also had Neighbors and Pitts combined for 19. Even Jaden Daniels, the Messiah, the rookie Messiah quarterback, that guy couldn't pillage any villages. He scored 10 points. So after the first games, the Viking was down 30 points heading into the 4 p.m. games. The commish even decided to call out the Viking. I said, hey, I called you to win. What's going on? You're going to give me my third loss of the season? I've only lost 2 games. Vikings said, no, man, I'm coming back. Don't you worry. And in the 4 p.m. games, James Conner and Calvin freaking Ridley happened. Those two combined for 50 points. They just dropped the bomb on Chad's team. Chad in the 4 p.m. games had plenty to go around, had the players, but Javonte Williams and Kincaid combined for 6 points. Javonte Williams got 2. So a huge comeback by the Viking. Viking was up big going in, but that was okay. Chad had plenty of games going into the Sunday night and Monday night game. And Chad had his boy. Chad had not just Tank Dell, but he had the stack with CJ Stroud. So he had the stack going in. Chad's got to be feeling good. Could Tank go the full tank mode and bring him back? Well, Chad managed 14 points out of his kicker. It was the Texans' kicker, so he was off to a good start. Unfortunately, Chad's stack didn't work out very well. Tank and Stroud combined for 22 between both of them. They just didn't get it done, and going into Monday night, he needed a miracle out of Tyreek. Tyreek could go for, 202. He didn't. He had 11 points. So Chad ended the week with 124 points. The Viking, 139. Hey, look, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. The Viking pulled out the win. 139 isn't anything to be bragging about. It's pretty much average, but it gets you a win here and there. And it got the Viking a win. A win in the week. Your fearless commish picked it. That brings me to 8-2 on the year. That is not too shabby. I would like to again note that I have only lost 2 games all season. Both of those games were when I picked Big Thunder to win. Damn you, SEMA! With that said, it's time to get in the preview for this week. It's the one we have all been waiting for. That's right. It's what will likely be the battle for the Sacco. It's 2 Titans. 2 Titans of the ball sack. 2 true scrotum lovers. I'm actually worried both of these 1-9 teams are going to try to throw the game because they just want to get a hold of the Sacco trophy. They love the ball sack. But it's Big Thunder, SEMA, versus Fire Crotch, Paul. Now, both of these shit sippers, both of them, aren't in last for the lack of trying. Both of these owners have been active. I congratulate them. We love having you in the league. They have combined three fab dollars. That is all they have left on the year. So they are picking up players. They're trying to get better. They're trying to make moves. It's just not working out. Just like the real NFL, these teams have suffered their fair share of injuries and have some poor play. Oh, God, Caleb Williams sucks. But anyway, regardless, whatever the path was, they got here. They are both 1-9, and they are playing for the Sacco. Now, that's not necessarily true. Ryan, Sofita Ruxin's Purdy, still can't rest easily. He only has 3 wins on the season. If the loser of this game wins out and Ryan loses out, Ryan would be the Sacco on the year. I'm going to be honest, it's unlikely that happens, and I want to give Ryan some credit here. It's because Ryan's luck rating, if you don't know what a luck rating is, you need to read the weekly articles. Ryan's luck rating is the worst in the league, which means he has scored the most points but has the fewest wins. He has suffered from bad luck on this season. So, chances of him losing out, I don't know. I don't see that happening. So, that means this game this week, we might be 4 weeks from the end of the season, but this one is for all the Sacco marbles. Yeah, that was a balls joke. Laugh. I know you dads out there laughed. All right, I'm not a dad. Maybe it wasn't a good dad joke. I don't know. But we are moving on. Let's get to the game. Let's go to quarterback. We have got Caleb and Anthony Richardson on the Paul side and the Crotch side in the draft review. Man, I said it. I called it. I said give Paul the trophy for having the biggest balls in the league because he called his shot on quarterback. He went early and often on quarterback. 2 of his first early picks went to these 2 quarterbacks. He went full boom or bust. Well, boy, did I nail that one. Unfortunately, I nailed it on the wrong side for the Crotch. It's been all bust. Richardson has scored no more than 14 points in one game all season. 14. That's not good. Caleb, well, let's be honest, he's had a few moments. I don't want to completely dog him. He had a 4 TD game. However, he has scored under 12 points in half of the games he has started this year. This completely defines Paul's team. This has been his struggles. The Crotch is just booming and busting all year. So that has been tough, and he has boomed and busted at the wrong times. Now, if I've got to look at the positive side, study after study, report after report, podcast after podcast seems to support that there is actually a statistical bump for offenses the week after they lose a coach. Call it a narrative, call it what you want, but it seems to actually happen. Chicago just lost their offensive coordinator. While playing Green Bay in Green Bay is tough, they've just been an average defense all year, and that pass defense is in the bottom 10, so I imagine that Chicago is going to run a lot. That would be my strategy going up against the pack in Green Bay, but Caleb should get some decent looks. He has a very talented wide receiver group, so I imagine playing off the play action, he might be able to get something. Crotch really needs to hope that Caleb has just an average passing week, but that he also gets like a 50-yard rushing week and maybe a rushing touchdown. I mean, he really needs some of that rushing to come in to get him a great week by Caleb. Look, it's not impossible. I imagine there's a 30-point game in some, Marvel Universe future. It's not impossible. I don't know that it's likely. Moving on to Anthony Richardson. All right. He sucks. Look, he sucks. It's that simple. I said it when he was at Florida. I said it when he got drafted. I said it even after he had big games in his rookie season. He sucks. I don't care how athletic he is. He is not a good quarterback. He can't play quarterback. He's bad. That being said, fantasy football scoring is broken. The minute Yahoo allows me to adjust how many points you get for rushing, I will do it. However, that's not where we're at. The Jets have struggled against running quarterbacks all year. In fact, they're the worst in the league. They are terrible when facing rushing quarterbacks. They have allowed a rushing TD to a quarterback in 4 straight weeks. And in one of those weeks, they allowed 2 rushing touchdowns to a quarterback. I don't see any world where Richardson doesn't get 50 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Can he complement that with, say, 202 in the passing game? Normally, I would say no, considering the Jets are a top 10 pass defense on paper. However, I think the Jets are a paper tiger. They've allowed, check this out, 23, 37, 25, and 31 points. Let me reread that. 23, 37, 25, and 31 points in their last 6 games. That's 5 of their last 6 games that they have allowed a bunch of points. I've said it all year. Dysfunctional teams don't win. They just don't. I don't care who's playing the game. If you have no leadership, you're going to lose. And if anyone thinks at this point that Aaron Rodgers is a leader, just go check yourself, man. Just go Baker act yourself. I can call it in. I've got the numbers. We can do this. We can get you some help. All right. Now the Colts, all right, they're also kind of dysfunctional. So maybe this cancels each other out. But I think Richardson could have a sneaky 30-point week. I don't know how likely it is, likely to Caleb, but I do think he is guaranteed some groundwork. So I think Richardson is a solid start. Now, if Crotch stands any chance to win this week, he has to win this group of players. He needs these 2 players to boom. On the other side of the ball, we've got Big Thunder rolling out some traditional QBs. Now, Love, he's a tough read. He's just been in and out of the lineup all year. He is combined in the past 2 games for under 20 points. That's not good. However, like the end of last year, Love has shown that he has a nose for the end zone. He keeps coming up with touchdowns. Now, he does go up against Caleb's Bears, and while the Bear offense might be a disaster, the defense has held its own all year, currently gives up the absolute least amount of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Now, Vegas has this game with a 40-point over-under, but I'm taking the over. I don't think Love explodes, but I don't think 230-2 is unattainable. I actually think it's pretty reasonable. I just don't have a lot of confidence in Chicago right now, and I do have a lot of confidence in Green Bay. I think they come out throwing the ball and having a, when I say a good game, just not exploding, but a solid week. So the only other quarterback on any team here with a good matchup is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is playing the Bengals. They allow the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Despite the Harbaugh, we're going to run the ball 1985 attitude, he's realized, it's took him a few weeks, but he has realized he has got an absolute stud at quarterback. Herbert's thrown for 27 passes, at least 27 attempts, in 5 of the last 6 games, over 30 in, I think, 3 of the 6. He's thrown the ball. However, the Chargers have actually looked pretty good on defense. They need to pass, or Herbert. They're going to need to pass, or Herbert is likely to throw the ball 18 times like he did last week. I think when they're playing a red-hot Joe Burrow, the chances of Herbert not throwing the ball more than 27 times and doing what he did last week against the Titans, a terrible offense. They won on defense last week, right? The they're playing the Titans. The Titans are bad. The defense is going. We're going to run the ball. That's the Harbaugh way. But you're playing Joe Burrow. That guy is coming to town. He is red hot. The over-under on the game is 48. My most confident bet of the week, SEMA, listen up. My most confident bet on the week is the over here. Like, Herbert is going to throw the ball because I don't care about your defense. The Bengals are putting up points. I think Higgins plays, and I think they have a great week. So, if all of that happens, this is the Sunday night matchup that might determine this week, the entire week, for this matchup. Big week, big game. Need to watch Herbert Sunday night. So, as far as the edge, taking Thunder, obviously. I think Thunder because of the 4. Look, Crotch might get 15 points total out of both quarterbacks. That's just abysmal. However, I could be completely wrong, and he might get 65 if he hits his upside between both quarterbacks. If I got to pick somebody, I'm going to take SEMA in Thunder. Just guaranteed. That's how I'm going to roll. But if you're Paul, Crotch, you are watching this matchup to try to win the week. So, moving on. Looking at wide receiver, we have Flowers, Noah Brown, and Amari Cooper versus Devontae Adams, McConkey, and Jacoby Myers. Look, not only did I call the bust at quarterback for the Crotch here, I mean, that bust really hurt him at wide receiver. Why? Because he originally drafted Chase. He had a good wide receiver group. But because his quarterbacks were so bad and Pacheco got injured, he was in a position where he had to trade some assets to try to get something back, and he traded away Chase. And it really shows in this group. Look, Flowers has been a solid late-round pick for Baltimore. Baltimore could be in a shootout with Russ leading the Pittsburgh passing game against a terrible Baltimore defense. That could happen. So good job, Paul. You picked Flowers. Great. He's just not a number 1 wide receiver in terms of fantasy. So when we move on to your number 2, Noah Brown, I mean, man, that is a stretch. I mean, Philly started off the season rough on defense. Absolutely, I dogged them. But they've really come on. I mean, their rookies are playing well over this past month. And Jaden looks great. And I think Washington will find ways to attack Philly. But I think that's going to be on the ground. I mean, their passing defense, Philly's passing defense, has been great. So I really don't give Noah much of a chance. Maybe, Sands a lucky bomb for a touchdown. I mean, honestly, I think I'd look at the waiver wire. I don't have a lot of confidence in Noah this week. So meanwhile, your third receiver is Amari. Amari is truly questionable this week. He may not even play. Even if he does, I don't really care. He gets the Chiefs' defense. I mean, Crotch literally doesn't have a bench right now. Every single one of them is injured or on bye. So if Amari doesn't go, he's going to waiver wire. It's not good, Crotch. It is absolutely time to take to the high seas. You need to jump on your ship, head out and see the Viking. If not, hey, look, your commish is always available for a trade. I'm offering you some stuff, man. Let's get something done. You need a wide receiver. All right, moving on to Big Thunder. Big Thunder rolls out big disappointment, Devontae Adams. As stated, dysfunctional teams don't win. Since coming over from Oakland, Devontae has had one playable week. One, and that was against a bottom 10 passing defense, the Texans. The positive here, if I got to pick something out, look, the guy's getting the targets. He had 11 targets and 13 targets the past 2 weeks. So the Colts allow the 12th most fantasy points to wide receivers. Okay, if you got to put something together, there it is. However, Adams is currently missing practice for an illness. I'll assume he'll be good to go, and honestly, I'll assume that this is a TD week for Devontae. But I don't see some big upside here. I just don't. As you'll hear, I'm not a fan of the Jets. So, okay, he might be okay. All right. So moving on to Thunder stack, he has got Herbert with Mr. McConkey. Anyone in the chat should remember I loved me some McConkey come the NFL draft. I thought he'd be a gem for someone who took him later in the draft. Why? The guy was a winner. He produced. He was a senior. He seemed like a pro at his position type of thing in college. So I thought he could come in and do well. Now, why didn't I draft him? Because we aren't in a dynasty league. Anyone who's drafted with me for any period of time, even over the past year or two, you have heard my opinion on rookie wide receivers. You should never take them. You can count, literally, hold your hands up right now. Hold your right hand, hold your left hand. How many fingers you got? Hopefully all of you got 10. You can count on those 10 how many rookies have gone over 1,000 yards in their entire career, their rookie season. Name all the greats. That many have been over 1,000 yards. So in virtually every case, rookies are not good, and in every case, the rookies aren't good until the second half of the season. Sans, put down one hand, you now have less than 5 examples of receivers who have been good early in the year. So I'm just not drafting rookie wide receivers ever. You guys do what you want in the draft. There's my strategy. Now, admittedly, this is changing slowly. But here we are in week 11. Want to guess when McConkey broke out? I'll give you one guess. One guess. What's halfway through the season? Anybody? It's week 8. Week 8. Week 8 is when McConkey broke out. So this is as predicted. And right now, like I said, with Herbert, Harbaugh's realizing he has a great quarterback. So right now, the passing game seems to be going through McConkey. Now, admittedly, somehow Quentin Johnston seems to be catching all the touchdowns, which is weird. But they're playing Cincinnati in a high over-under game, or in my opinion, it will be a high over-under game. I think McConkey has a good chance to get a touchdown. So I like McConkey this week a lot. Now, lastly, we've got Jacoby Myers. Man, unfortunately, this is one of those players that I just don't think we're ever going to get to see the real upside. I mean, he was a cast-off in the dementia-led Belichick Patriots. You know, he was just had a defensive coordinator leading his offense. I mean, just terrible. Sorry, Steve. Sorry, Chad, but it was just bad. So he leaves the Patriots to go to quarterback purgatory in Vegas. I mean, seriously. Antonio Pierce announced 2 different starting quarterbacks in the same week, and one of them was Desmond Ridder. That's just atrocious. So, moving on, Minshew is getting the start. Minshew does tend to hone in on a single target, and that target should be Jacoby. So there's a chance, and, you know, he PPRs his way to a good game, but I'm not counting on it. His upside is certainly limited, especially against a decent pass defense in Miami. I think the Vegas comes in wanting to run the ball against Miami, as everyone does, which is why the Fins on paper have a good passing defense, because everyone can run against us. And that's what Pierce wants to do. So, I don't know. Jacoby will be fine. The upside, again, limited. So, Thunder, yeah, you get lucky here, man. Yeah, you get the edge, but it's not because I like your team. I'm not a big fan. Fire Crotch, your team is just terrible at the wide receiver position. You have got to work those trade lines, Paul. Get it done, unless you want to have the ball sacks. All right, moving on to running back. We have Paul rolling out Swift and Najee, and on Corey's side, we have Bijan and Spears. All right, Swift has been surprisingly effective this year, and in a bad offense. Look, after playing on two good offenses and not being able to get the job done, I was not a fan going into draft season. But it's worked out pretty well. In fact, I hated this pick by Paul. But it's worked out. Swift is getting all of the work in Chicago. Despite having a stable of running backs, he is getting all of the work, and he certainly still has the passing game chops. He's getting, 5 passes a game. So he's, got a PPR floor. I don't hold out much hope against the Bears to beat the Pack, at all. But if the Pack score, they're in Green Bay. If I'm playing the positive here for Paul, Caleb's got to get something done. Well, maybe throw some passes to Swift. They're down. Maybe a TD pass goes to Swift. Now, Swift doesn't have any receiving touchdowns on the year, but maybe. So, I don't know. This could break Crotch's way. At the very least, Swift offers a pretty decent floor. So, while I may have gotten Swift wrong in the draft, Najee, on the other hand, did I get him wrong in the draft? I said the guy sucked. I said he was going to bomb. The facts back me up. He has never averaged more than 4 yards a carry. That was his best season. I'm not even talking about average. Everyone in the fantasy world thought this guy was going to be bad. The only good year he has ever had is when he had Captain Checkdown Roethlisberger in his last year, Najee's rookie year, and he ended up with 90 catches. He didn't do anything good. He just caught a bunch of 1-yard passes. That's great for PPR, but Najee has unquestionably been a bust at running back. Maybe he's been a league average running back. Maybe. So I thought that Najee had bust written all over him. It wasn't just me. Every single fantasy outlet had Jaylen Warren as the sleeper. Okay, well, Najee, he is doing Najee things. He's voluming his way to relevance. He's still only average 4.1 yards per carry. That's right, all of you Najee, he's great. That guy, he's good. He's had a great season. 4.1 yards per carry. Is it his best season? Yeah, it is. That should say a lot. He's not good. But I will give him this. He has more explosive rushes this year than he has in the past. He has 6 rushes over 20 yards, so good for him. But I don't think I got Najee wrong because I still don't think he's having a great season. In fact, he's barely a number 2 fantasy running back. Najee's been great. He's starting. He's been consistent. But do you know where he ranks on the season? I'll give you a minute. Where does Najee rank this season in our league at running back? 10? 12? Maybe not. Maybe 14 just because he's been... No. 24. 24. So, I didn't think that Najee was even draftable because he was going to have the worst season of his career, and the Steelers were going to be a bottom 10 offense. But this Russell Wilson-led Steelers offense has been great. You heard me right. The offense is functioning well. The defense is playing great. They just added Mike Williams. I didn't see this coming. But even with all of this, he's still only number 24. So, whatever. He's Najee. So, he should get some volume. He should be good. Hold on. Who does Pittsburgh play this week? The Ravens. The Ravens are a classic pass funnel defense, meaning the defense purposefully sells out the run. They give up a ton of passing yards. I think there is zero chance Najee has the ability to break through a defense specifically designed to stop him. This is just a terrible matchup for Crotch. All right, moving on to Thunder. All right, he's got our fantasy football favorite, Bijan, baby. Everybody loves them some Bijan. Bijan is quietly having a great year. Can anybody remember talking about Bijan having a great game this year? I can't. I mean, I'm trying to remember talking about Bijan at all this year. Yet he is averaging 19 points a game. He's currently third on the best on most points scored for running backs. However, Bijan has had I'm going to call it historic. I'm not sure that's factually accurate, but a historic softest defensive matchup run of all time. So let's play a game. In the last 7 games, how many times has Bijan faced a defense that is a top 10 defensive ranked defense? And let me reword that, meaning how many times has he faced a defense that gives up the most fantasy points? So he plays against whatever, Miami. Miami gives up the most rushing yards, so they're number 1, right? So how many times has he played a bad defense? Just think about it. In 7 games, how many times could he possibly face a 10 worst rushing defense? How about every single time? Every single time he has played the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. I think that's it. I think he played the 10th. Is that 7? Whatever. Every single game in the past 7 games, he has played a bottom 10 defense defending him. Sure, give him some credit. He has gotten 20-plus points in 5 of the last 7 games. That's absurd. But this week, the Falcons get Denver. And Denver is a very good defense. It's going to be very interesting to see how Bijan performs, because he has been racking up yards against terrible teams. Now, I will say Bijan has been making his mark as a pass catcher. He's getting about 5 catches a week, so he should have a floor, but I'm still curious to see how he does. All right. Thunder's second running back, well, he's been rolling out Jordan Mason all year, and that has been great for him. But in the wake of C-Mac coming on back, that gravy train is gone. And now he's starting Spears. Well, that's a downgrade. Let's call it that. I mean, Spears may be back to splitting time and not just riding the bench, but who cares? The Titans' run game has been terrible. And now they get Minnesota? I mean, I would straight up cut Spears right now, go to the waiver wire, and hope for someone like Justice Hill, who's going to be in a passing shootout, and just hope for the best. So edge here, look, could Bijan single-handedly outscore Firecrotch's lineup? They might. But I'm going to give Firecrotch the edge here. His running backs, just even one of them, stumbles into a touchdown, and he wins his group. All right, tight end. Njoku versus Ingram. God, tight ends just suck. All right, Njoku looked fine with Watson. In fact, he was kind of central to where he threw. Why? Because he's terrible. He's bad. Ever since he's come back, he's just not good. So he'd take a short read and he would dump it off to Njoku. Well, Watson's not playing. We now have Winston. He's just out there throwing yo-yo balls 30 yards down the field. The Saints are falling apart, so maybe Winston has a Winston 300-yard, 4-touchdown, 3-pick type of game, and Njoku could benefit from that. I don't know. He's got a shot. Now, can Mac Jones do that for Ingram? Fuck, I doubt it. The Lions are going to score. Let me check this. Doing the math. They're going to score. Hold on. Carry the 1. Yeah. I got it. They're going to score roughly 1 million freaking points against the Jags. The Jags defense is terrible. The Lions offense is great. I have no confidence in the Jags to stop them. So maybe Mac Jones has to pass a lot, and maybe Ingram benefits. I would think that Ingram benefits in garbage time, in kind of PPRs his way to a good game, but I'm not counting on that. I'm giving the edge here to Firecrotch. Njoku has some sort of upside where I just see Ingram going 4 for 40 and the Jags laying down. All right, moving on to the flex. Taysom versus Judy. Kind of just flip-flop all the analysis I just said. Judy for Thunder is kind of the same as Njoku, just in an offense that's chucking it. Njoku has averaged 10 to 15 points a week every week since Winston has taken over. So call him an average wide receiver. Now, can Taysom say he has scored 15 points or more all year? Yeah, he can. One time. Taysom, he's just the biggest game in Russian roulette that the NFL has to offer. For all I know, the guy gets 4 touchdowns this week. He might throw 2 passing, he might get 1 receiving, he might get 1 rushing. I don't know. I can't call that. But Judy's consistent. He gets something. So edge here goes to Thunder. You know, who knows what happens with Taysom. So that's it. That's what I got. We're at the end. So who does your commish pick? Well, it's a tough call. Not sure he's going to bring home the new set of balls. Who am I kidding, man? Look, Thunder, I am picking you again for a 3rd time. Every time I have picked you, you have lost. Bring one home for your commish. I need the win. I'm tired of losing picking you, Seema. Get it done. Paul, buddy, you are the original Sacco. You deserve this. You need the Sacco. You need the great sack in your hands. I know you'll enjoy it. All right, boys, that's it. That's it for your commish. Arguably the biggest week of the year outside of the championship. We have got true Sacco week. Ryan, bite your fingernails. Get a win this week so you get out of this race. All right, boys, that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Peace out.